Okay, just a few more data types that I want to discuss here. The char type or the character type will allow you to store a single character. And for example, I have a char type called letter grade. Notice the way I name my variables, and I want you to try to emulate what I do in this regard. And also in your book, your variable name should be descriptive. They cannot have spaces. They cannot begin with numbers. They can end with a number, but they cannot begin with a number. But I'll typically use camel casing like this for my variable names, but always very descriptive. Can you do a variable name like, int x? Yeah, you can. Is that a good variable name? No. In a math class, it's a good variable name, but not in a programming class. You want your code to be self-documenting, and variable names are one way of doing that. I should be able to look at a variable name and tell instantly what that's for and what kind of value that stores. So anyway, the next thing I want you to realize about the character constants or the character literals is that they are enclosed in single quotes. That's hard to get used to. Strings like this, here's a string literal, are enclosed in double quotes, but a single character is going to go in single quotes. Okay? So, in this case, we're going to say your anticipated grade this semester and print out the grade. Another thing I want to talk about real quickly here is the notion of IntelliSense. So I'm going to summon that variable name. I see this popping up in the box. The IntelliSense is anticipating what you want to type. You want to get used to using this. It might be awkward at first, but it's worth learning how to do it and just getting used to it, because the less you're typing, the fewer errors you're going to commit, because it takes human error out of it, out of your typos at least. So, for example, I can see the sign popping up, and then I can do the down arrow on the keyboard and land on that. Now it's highlighted. I hit enter and it fills it in for me. So that's really useful once you can get used to that. I'll throw in my endel here, and I'll go ahead and run it. And you can see the output is as expected. Okay, so the next type is the Boolean type. I think I'm going to uncomment some of this. Just have a couple more data types here. The Boolean type will allow you to store a true or a false. And the thing about, there's a catch here. Let me comment this one out. Okay, focus on the Boolean here. Let's say I have a preferred customer status. So I'm calling this is preferred. And I put a true in it. So now I'm going to print that value here. Watch what happens when I run it. So you can see not quite what I was expecting, the preferred customer status. Basically, even though we can hard code a true and a false in our code, when that value is ultimately printed out, it's ultimately stored as 1 for true and 0 for false, and that's what you're going to get in your output, unless you finagle something, and which we could do with like an if-else type of statement. I'm not going to do that here. I want to move on to the next data type, but basically the Boolean is for a true or a false. And then lastly, we have, this is not one of the primitive data types or the built-in C++ data types, but we can use it. This is the string. We can use it as if it were a built-in data type, like the int and the float and the double and the char and the bool, all these that we've talked about. The string is a little more sophisticated, but you can just treat it as a regular data type if you check it out of the library first. Okay, so I did have to add this up at the top. But now I'm home free. I can just create a string variable. I'm going to call this college. I'm going to put Moraine Valley in it. And then I'm going to, look, I'm cascading the insertion operator. We talked about that, just dropping that value right into the output stream with the hard-coded string constants or string literals. And you can see my output is going to look as expected. And there it is. There you have it.